Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Horizon TV. This is Stay Healthy, a program that dwells on health issues in the society. Welcome, my name is Mariam Salim. Drug abuse may seem to be a problem that will be with us for long, and it's affecting largely the vulnerable youth under the age of 30. Apart from the long damage to their body, they're also at risk of contracting HIV, hepatitis B and C, and other infections due to the sharing of needles. But first, let's take a listen.
World Drug Report 2017 estimated that 250 million people, which is 5% of the global adult population, used drugs at least once in 2015. According to the WHO, on average, every person in the world aged 15 and older drinks 6.2 liters of pure alcohol per year. At least 15.3 million persons have drug use disorders. Closer to home, this statistic is increasing at an alarming rate, especially among the youth. Current statistics indicate that more than half of drug users are aged 10 to 19 years, and the most commonly used drugs are nicotine, alcohol, and cannabis. Due to the strategic location of Kenya in the East African region and Nairobi being an economic hub in the region, there has been an upsurge of international narcotic drug trafficking, leading to increasing injecting drug users IDU. The growing global burden of substance use disorders cannot be overemphasized. The World Health Organization estimates that the global burden of disease attributed to alcohol and illicit drug amounts to 5.4% of the total burden of disease. This means that their drug use is harmful to the point that they may experience drug dependence and require treatment.
Joining me on set is Dr. Joseph Thuku. I hope I pronounce it right. A psychologist and also a candidate at Mount Kenya University in Thika, who is going to help me unpack on this topic. Daktari, karibu katika kipindi. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. My name is Joseph Thuku. I'm a psychologist as well as a lecturer at St. Paul's University. And I'm also a pharmacist, so I deal with drugs. Yeah.
Okay, let's start by talking about drug addiction and its impact to the society. What's your take on that?
Well, drug addiction is a global problem. Let me start by defining what is addiction. Addiction, in a broader sense, is the biopsychosocial disorder that brings about compulsive use of a drug or substance, even when the individual is aware the behavior is actually affecting his or her health. Let me make it a little bit better. A drug is any article or anything that you may take. It can be a piece of a seed, a leaf, that when taken in or ingested or rubbed on your skin brings about changes in you. It could be healing or relieving pain. Now, that one is a drug, and it depends with how or who has asked you, who have introduced you to the same. There are some people who use such articles in a joking manner, not a doctor will have prescribed to them, and at the end of the day, they become addicted or they develop that urge to use it even when there is no reason. Addiction is a process, and one starts very easily. You can be influenced by your friends. You can be introduced to it by people who take advantage over you. And the most vulnerable group, like you have mentioned here, is the young, especially the teenagers. Why is it that they are the ones that are at a risk? It is because they have the time, they have the energy, and during that time they do a lot of experimentation, and especially our teenage girls and young men. such a group stand a high risk of abusing the drugs. Why? Is because of their variability of the products. The drugs that we have in mind are quite many. I'll start with a simple one in the house, tea or coffee. The caffeine, it has it is there. We as adults around these children, we smoke, send them to the shops to buy the cigarette. And when we inhale this cigarette, we comfortably say that I'm feeling very well. At some homes or some people also use alcohol. The use of alcohol and how we comment about it as adults makes them try or think of experimenting with it. So I can say the impact the drug has on our children starts with the adults who introduce them to the products. And it can be by learning from what we are doing, and that's why our children or these young teenagers engage in drug addiction. The impact it has in society are quite diverse and very, very devastating in that once the addiction has set in, this child is no longer, or this young person is no longer taking the product because he really wants to get high. No. It is because of the physiological changes that have happened. It is because of the changes that have gone inside his body, his brain. And therefore there is the urge, there is a demand that the body is demanding. And for him to maintain, he has to do something. Therefore, he or she can sell anything, including his smartphone, a laptop. They can even become thieves, stealing from their mothers and their fathers' coins that they around the house so as to satisfy their urge. The urge. Worse off, they might even engage in other activities so as to get this drug. I have in mind teenage girls and teenage young boys who may engage in sexual activity so as to have this drug of use. What's happening here? The people around this individual, the father and the mother, they suffer a lot because the child is will sell anything to get this drug. If you give him money to go and pay school fees or for anything else, he will use the same money for, therefore he's affecting even the financial status of the family. And by the way, treating him is not a simple thing. It's quite expensive. And the government spends a lot of money trying to handle diseases that emerge or that have damaged an individual. When the individual or that teenager or the young person have engaged in use of the drugs.
Like you say, when one is introduced to the drugs, they get hooked.
They get hooked, yeah.
So what's so addictive about the drugs?
Let me explain how the addiction happens. Okay. Most of the products that we are talking about here are in chemical form at the end of the day. And this chemical form, for example, if I may use alcohol, which is quite common and and I think everybody, it is easy to identify with it. Alcohol, when imbibed by a person, goes through the mouth, which is the easiest route of administration, and it is absorbed from the mouth into the bloodstream and into the brain. In the brain, which is a very unique tissue that we are given by God free, is the one that is highly affected because of the neurotransmission. I mean, how we act, behave, think, see, interpret issues is through the brain. It is the brain that maintains you, even how we are seated here. The brain is still working, and the brain does not stop working. But it has two ways of working. One, it is the electrical, which is very good, but joining one neuron to the other one is the chemical. The chemical is where now the molecule of alcohol comes in. And therefore, if it jumps to the next neuron, the information passed on is altered. What do I mean? If you observe drunkards, of which I've done myself, by the time they have one or two beer, they have no problem. That for the beer, you find somebody is staggering. Why? Is because the information coming from his brain that I want to walk now, it is altered in that he perceives the ground is not even, or he might fall down. But when he was walking, the ground was still the same and level. The drugs work that way. May it be the cigarette that gives you that the addict gets the urge to smoke it again and again. It is through the nervous system, which is very, very well distributed within the body, touching each and every organ. So the physiological changes that happen is that if that chemical is not available, the body has a mechanism of demanding for it. And when now the body demands for that chemical, you have to look for it, and that's the urge. It is like the urge of taking your favorite chocolate or a piece of something that you really love. Or like, I don't know whether you've seen it with mothers, whereby they will tell you, no matter what, the headache is not going, I still need a cup of tea, because they are addicts of the tea. So addiction carried further, and if the behavior is not warranted, it becomes a disorder, and therefore a serious disease. Yeah.
On the same note, according to the survey conducted recently, it shows that over 50,000 of youth between the age of 11 and 48, I beg your pardon, have abused heroin. What could be the root cause of this?
Wow. Now, heroin is another, we call it a hard drug. Why we call it hard drug is not that it is hard, but when taken first time, it is fast acting, and it's psychoactive, meaning it works on the brain very fast and it causes addiction, the disease now, or that disorder, very fast. You just need a single introduction or a single jab or a single inhale, and there you are, you become an addict. Meaning the urge to have it because of how you feel when you have it. Now, it is the easiest one to be used because it can be mixed in cakes, in water, inhaled, injected. Its effect, the feeling of of that euphoric feeling is very fast and swift. Therefore, people tend to go for it. At that age group, as you've mentioned, 11 years to 20, 30 years, that's the age group where these people are really interested in trying out things. Let me tell you something. When a child is between 0 to around 6 years, 7, 9 years, they are very much around their mother's skirts, let me put it that way. But when they become teenagers, they are now at what you call a peer pressure. They turn against their parents, and they tend to hang around with their age mates. They discuss issues that they see in the TV, advertisements that we do put on the TV. For example, Imara kama Simba. What is that? It's alcohol. Smooth all the way, that is embassy. Those advertisements which they are observing is what they try now, let me try it. Then how we comment as parents, oh, I smoked once, I felt very nice. Oh, my beer is good, it makes me strong. Baada ya kazi. All those sort of advertisements should be stopped because this teenager will try it. And therefore, through this, can I say, mistake that one can take at a simple turning point, especially this age of we are together with my people. They ask each other, have you ever tried this? Have you ever tried that? And you know very well, it's a certain time then your own age group used to ask you, have you tried this masara? Yeah, the lipstick or something to apply on your eyes or whatever. Like that, you start there. So this age of a teenager is the most vulnerable age and the high risk age bracket that people try to try things out. How do we sort out, how do we manage these people? The best option is to come out clean, and we start programs educating our children about the readily available drugs that can cause any damage, especially harm to them. Don't forget at teenage level is when the hormones are. If it's a woman, she's getting developing a lot of changes very easily through the high levels of hormones. A man, the same thing is happening, depending on the voice. I want to be my own person. I'm not taking things from what my mom is telling me. Let me try my own things out. Let me hang out with my people. You know, that is where a single dangerous step or away from the norm can happen.
Dr. Thuku, hold on to that. When you come back, we'll take it from there.
Right.
Well, let's take a short commercial break. When you come back, Dr. Thuku will give us more insight on the effect of heroin on our youth, on the society. Ooh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, and if you are joining us, this is Stay Healthy, a program that dwells on health issue. With me is Dr. Thuku, a psychologist who's going to help me unpack on this issue, drug abuse in the society. Daktari, before we went for the break, you were talking about the effect of heroin among our youth. Yeah, continue from there.
Right. Now, heroin, it's in form of powder formed from a plant found in South America, can I say, within the tropics. And even here it can do very well in Kenya, by the way. Don't ask me whether I've tried it, but, but it can, since we are within the tropics. Its effect is very devastating in that you need a simple jab. Okay. You need to use it once, and you just become an addict. What's the problem here? It is that its availability is also used as brown sugar in Kenya. And it can be mixed up with marijuana. Marijuana is bang, okay. Yeah, and nicotine together. But the effect of heroin alters perceptions. It alters even the feeling of pain, and by so doing, it even changes how you think. And therefore, apart from you thinking about yourself and where else you can get it again and again, its rate of excretion or getting rid out of the body is very fast. Meaning, you need to keep on reloading. Yeah, that's the word. Reloading again and again and again. Okay. So if you're using the injection type, it means you have to keep on injecting yourself. Where do you inject? It's onto your skin. And I'm telling you, my friend, if you ask to inject yourself, you take quite some time thinking about it. But because of the urge, because of the changes that have already gone into you, and remember, you are not now using heroin to feel high. You are using it to feel normal. Normal, okay, to maintain. To maintain. That's the problem with addiction. Yes. If only you can, because addiction, you get into it by experimentation first, then you form the habit, then from there you are feeling nice, of course, then some changes are going on, you develop tolerance, meaning other than just taking one glass of beer and you are satisfied, you end up taking about 3, 4, 5. Other than just getting one jab of heroin and getting satisfied, you need more and more and more of it. Which is your route of administration? The skin. So they normally inject themselves under the armpit and around the private parts where nobody can see. And at the end of the day, because you might end up giving yourself those jabs up to 6, 7, 8, 12 times a day. And a day, according to medical doctors, we mean 24 hours. You can imagine how many times this person... Within 24 hours? Yes, you keep on jabbing yourself. And it might turn into every 2 hours you need a jab. What are you doing? You are breaking your skin. Is heroin expensive? It is. Why? It's because it is illegal drug. What else are you using? You're using a needle. And this needle, you may not have the money to maintain this behavior because you need one needle now. Remember, no doctor uses one needle twice. Yeah, true. We use one, we dispose. Heroin users, they even share the same. And therefore, it is easier for you to, because we are pricking into your skin and pumping in whatever, you might even use the same to give me, to help me with it, because we have no time to buy another one. Yeah. And therefore, what is happening here? I may get HIV from you, or hepatitis from you, or from one another. You get? And therefore, we'll even end up with another, a big issue. The skin problem, the liver problem, the brain, the way you are thinking. And even you can have what you call sudden death, dying due to the effects of heroin to the brain, to the lungs, to the heart, and even some of them whom I've interacted with suffer from low self-esteem. Okay. They no longer, nobody loves you. Because imagine after every 2 hours you're going for an injection, and it might end up to after every hour you want to have the jab. Okay. Where you are getting this stuff, it is not okay. It is not that refined, and therefore you might get it the right one or not. There is no quality control about what you have in here. Therefore, use of heroin in our youth, or among our youth, is very disastrous, and it affects the society in that this person is no longer productive. Because if you are a student, for example, in the universities where I lecture, such a student will keep on walking out. Such a students, they assume things and they may not even attend to doing their normal exams or cuts. And therefore, those fellows, they don't even pay the school fees. Give
they
them
have
the
the
school fees.
don't care attitude.
Yes, this is it. And they are quite irritable and they have no time at all for anything else apart from the drug. They think, they live around where the drug is and where those things are. This is a walking, a walking dead person. Yes.
Okay, what are the signs that one is on drugs, and how can we be of help?
That's very good and quite important indeed. It is very easy to detect your child when they start abusing drugs, because they normally withdraw from the parents' sitting room. They lock themselves up in their rooms. And that's why I advise parents, whether it's a boy or a girl's room, please walk in, check what your son or your daughter has put on the walls. Something will tell you. Please check on their laptops, whatever they are doing in there. They are your children. Withdrawal, use of covering themselves, like the hoods. I don't know whether you've seen this.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the hijab.
Yes.
I'm talking about the other.
Yeah, I understand.
Then you find the guy walking quietly. Appearance of this person only when she wants food. Then totally withdraw in that they don't want to talk a lot. They are always suspicious of that. Can I say antisocial behavior among the seniors?
Yeah.
Or rather among the family members. You can pick that there is a change. And the mothers are very good. I'm not saying that we fathers are bad in detecting, but I know mothers are good and they can pick it. My daughter has changed, my son has changed, and therefore, how the parents are supposed to react is understand this person is sick, and it is good for you to as a parent, to ask for help from a counselor or a psychologist. And I'm happy to announce that hospitals like Kenyatta National Hospital, they have a center for the youth, and they are charging nothing. Youth between 11, 12, teens, up to around 30 years there. Okay. They get free psychiatric help, or medical help, or mental health checkup, free. This is the only way you can reach out to them. Schools where we have the teenagers should all have counselors on board, not teaching, but for counseling those students who have been picked to be having a deviant behavior. Most importantly, why do you think these people engage in this drug use? We have got several types of families. We have an aggressive family whereby the father and mother are always fighting in the house. And that one affects children, especially teenagers. And they may think that they are the problem and they are the one causing their parents to quarrel. So a child may end up deviating and abusing drugs. We have the avoidant type of a family, whereby the father, mother, everybody in that house is bothered about his or her problems. You have school visiting, whatever, clinics, parents don't appear, or your mother comes, or your dad doesn't. The child takes it badly, in the negative way, and they may engage in drug abuse. How do we help them? By trying to come up with a collaborating family where father and mother, both of them read from the same script and deal with their children together. Share issues. Look at, listen to one another. Pray together, especially for those who are prayerful. Try to remember, even you as a parent, you are once a teenager. Yeah, true. How we survived, God help us. Here we are. Now we are the one who is on the driving seat, and we must be careful with our children. Especially the teenagers, especially that vulnerable group of 11, 13 years. Because once carried away by the drug, to get this person back is not easy due to the withdrawal syndromes. Why? Depending on your drug of choice, the the feelings that you get when you miss it are so powerful and compelling that you'd rather continue using it
okay.
other than stopping to use it. That's the problem. It is not easy. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned about rehabilitation centers. In Kenya, we have quite a few, but as you can see, the number of drug addicts keep on rising. So where are we going wrong as a society?
Good. The number of rehabilitation centers in the country are quite not very many, and they are not up to standards when we compare ourselves to areas like the Western world, where they are very, very, very powerful. What do I mean by that? Okay. Yes, the ones that we have, one will go in there depending on what she was abusing. Let's say alcohol or cannabis sativa or mogoka, miraa, and the time of stay is around 3 months, which is very short. Supposed to be 6 months per person admitted there, up to a period of 1 year. Then after you're through with the rehabilitation, you should go in to a halfway home. Halfway home is you meet somewhere with others who have already gone through the same before you reach home. Now, in the rehab, what am I trying to drive at? What I'm trying to drive at is one, rehabilitation center. You have been removed away from the things, people, and the drug that you are abusing. So you are kept aside. You get? While there, people who are around you, your father, mother, all right, your friends, they should be visiting you. Not just visiting you to see you there and there. They should be psycho-educated, taught how to relate with this new person who has been abusing drugs and is now struggling to leave drugs. But what happens in Kenya? You go in there for 3 months, you are alone, your father does not come, your mother does not come, and when you come out, we are like, tutakuwa na huyu mulevi, you see how you're going. You might go back to the same thing again. And therefore, because of that stigma, that they know me, I'm a cannabis smoker, I'm an alcoholic, I'm whatever, I only fit well among my
You label yourself.
Or among my people. My father, mother, they don't want me. So in Kenya, we need the rehabilitation centers improved. Then we need the halfway home, whereby after you are followed before you go to your back to the family, whereby you'll be reporting and you are taken care of, and even your people should be psycho-educated. You can imagine, I don't say that you've been using bangi or cannabis sativa, for that matter. And everybody around your village know that you've been taken to the rehab because of cannabis sativa, bangi smoking, isn't it? When coming out, how will people be looking at you? Suspiciously. We know you're going to get back to it again.
Yeah, right. Dr. Thuku, let's take another commercial break. When you come back, the conversation on drug abuse continues. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to our third and final segment. This is Stay Healthy. The conversation is all about drug abuse. Dr. Thuku, before we went for the break, you were talking about the reformed addicts. They shy from talking or mingle with people because they're being labeled. So what's your opinion on that?
Well, now, because of what they have gone through there before, and since I've explained that when one is taken to the rehabilitation center, she suffers from stigmatization from the significant people, the husband or his friends or his peer group or his parents and the community at large. Such a person feels alone, and that's what I was suggesting. For them to be integrated back to the society, they should be taken halfway home, whereby they can be meeting and the people will be meeting them there. And much more so, parents or people who will be taking care of him after he has been rehabilitated should be counseled so that they can be aware how to handle the new person, the new norm, or the new person who is trying to change. There is nothing as devastating like being reminded of something, how you are, like. So though reformed, they are taught in the rehabilitation center that they only survive each day by itself, avoiding to smoke a cigarette or take his beer day by day. So they are really struggling within themselves. How can we help them maintain and did not fall back or backslide, let me put that will maybe a bit better, backsliding. It is by encouraging them day in, day out. It is by not mentioning to them the problem that they were going through, because that one will hurt them and they'll feel alone. Let them not suffer from loneliness. Don't bring in something that will give them flashback to whatever that they have been doing there before. Let them engage in a new activity. And that's why now the rehabilitation centers should also come up with programs that these people can be doing after they get out of the rehabilitation center to become a reformed person, meaning you even have to change your behavior by doing something new in a new way and accepting the new norm. What can affect them most is if the things, the places that they were engaging, and because like I told you, people who engage in drugs, they think of where to get it, they think of how to get it, they stay around there, and they associate with the people who are also using or abusing the drugs. Okay. They need to be shown new direction, and this should not be their effort alone. It should be concerted effort by the family members, by the schools, and even by the society at large, so that we have limited hours of opening bars. We get rid of distribution of these drugs, which is quite impossible again, because some drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, are free. Mogoka also, I think it is, you find it around in kiosks and all that, its availability. But the person should continue visiting psychologists every week, every 2 weeks, so that he can walk with it. And you can walk away from those products. The idea here is he should have a way of staying with that drug of addiction, but never using it. Okay. No, that power. And that's why they are taught in the rehabilitation centers about the higher power that they require to sustain it, and to learn to say no, to learn to stay away from those products by maintaining, and especially by learning about the serious bad side effects of the product that they were using and abusing their bodies with it. It is a very delicate situation because of how we are. Because look at, for example, Christians. Every Sunday, we have the priest there preparing some bread and wine, alcohol, and the smell, isn't it? And then somebody takes it. Every time there's a big occasion, you find people are taking. So our culture, I mean our religious practices may also project, or rather, may make some people feel like, the priest is also taking, so why not me? People are sharing wine, why not me? There are so many pubs that are around here, why can't I not try it? The individuals from the rehabilitation centers, and they are reformed, should be given new roles to play, should be encouraged, should not be condemned, should not be labeled, therefore they should not suffer from this stigmatization. Because where they have come from is very far. And they have gone through something that you or me have never gone through. The desire, that urge, the body pushing you to have it. Yeah? And that's why that's why we have a danger of people who are coming from the rehabilitation centers. They join us here in the community, and within a very short time, somebody walks back again to the pub and to the drug again. And let me tell you, when that happens, the repercussions are even worse, because now this time they end up, they double up, and they end up using much more. My experience, those people who have gone back to the product that they have been abusing, they don't survive. They die. Because, like one case that I've walked around with him until up to his deathbed, he told me that he has realized that he has been a failure to his wife, to his father, and to the community at large. And he was a well-informed guy, somebody with a PhD in his line of profession.
Okay.
And I felt very sad when I lost him. But it was because after hanging around for 5 years, or staying dry for 5 years, he started again chewing miraa. And then from chewing miraa to taking alcohol, now he had 2 addictions. The miraa and the
alcohol.
Yes. And now that one propelled him to even start smoking. And when I met him smoking and taking alcohol, I got shocked. And I forgot myself. I said, oh, my friend, why are you back at it again? Said, no, I've given up. Nobody wants me. My wife does not love me and all that. So these people require a lot of psychological help.
Okay.
Yes.
They also need to be accepted by the society.
Yes, which is difficult.
According to WHO,
yes,
they were suggesting that cannabis-related substance should be available for medical use. Do you agree with this, and why?
Yeah, now, I told you, I'm in the medical profession. True, cannabis sativa is very good as a drug and a prescription, and it manages vomiting. When you are managing someone with cancer, you know, the cancer agents, cancer drugs that are given to people, they bring about severe, vomiting. And those side effects are well taken care of by the THC, or rather
palliative
by the
care.
Cannabis. Yeah. Now, only that. But the problem is, if we
start using it,
or cultivating it for commercial use. I remember there's one of our member of parliament had suggested that we do it, and I agree with agreement with him, because it can earn the country a lot of money. And don't forget, cannabis sativa have been used throughout history as a recreational drug, in religious practices, in production of hemp seeds. The seeds are very good for feeding our livestock or other birds. And even for fiber, there's a certain cultivar of the cannabis sativa plant that can be used very well to come up with very good fiber. And finally now the medicinal part of it, which is very good, you can export that one. But the question is, who will control people not to smoke it? Why? Is because cannabis sativa and the vulnerable age that we mentioned here, the teenagers, they will try it because of the euphoric it brings, the false well-being or power. My own experience, when I sat from our primary school certificate, long time ago, last century that is, one of my friends took it, smoked cannabis sativa, and he did something that was astonishing, that I didn't know. He ate food from a pot, you know, the normal Kikuyu food, githeri, beans, what have you, like that. Yeah, no, beans and whatever, the entire pot. Then he took the whole, about 2 or 3 liters of milk, took it.
By himself?
So, by himself. So when I walked in, he was actually lying on his small bed and complaining, and his stomach was really distended or and I thought that he's going to die. So I rushed out, called the mother, and when the mother came in and looked at the boy pointed at the piece of stub of the cigarette, not the cigarette, but now the cannabis sativa thing. And the mother was like, my son, you have also smoked this stuff like your brother. I have no children. Cannabis sativa acts differently to different people, especially teenagers. We had just searched for our CPE, and now here he is attempting it. Meaning, if we allow cultivation of it, it must be controlled by the government. How to do it, I don't know. But it's a very good product for medicinal use, for cancer patients, of which is now currently on the rise. I agree with the WHO. We need to do something, but we have to be careful with who is to cultivate it and where. For example, look at miraa cultivation in Meru. I'm not blaming it. It's a product that brings in foreign exchange in Kenya in terms of billions. Yes, very, 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 very reclusive, whatever. But look at the children around that area. The young men, children of around 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, They don't go to school. They go pick the twig, get paid, they forget about school. It has also a casual means. I'm talking about Miraa now. Girls will get, as they get married, people must be, the father-in-law must be given a bunch of Miraa. That's significance of chewing that twig, isn't it? But don't forget this is an old man. So now, here is a case scenario whereby areas that will be doing cannabis sativa for drug production, we have to be careful who is to do it. But otherwise, I have no quarrel with the medicinal use of it. And I think it is the high time the Kenya government comes up with an idea how we can do it. So it is, yeah, it's good.
It's good, okay.
Yeah.
According to the International Drug Policy Consortium, heroin was first consumed in cities, but later spread to other parts of the country.
Yes.
Why do you think so?
This is very easy. What happens here is that here we are in Nairobi. Yeah? We come from rural.
Yeah.
From our villages, wherever. So now, let's pick somebody who is born, brought up in Kiambu town, Duberi. Then they come to live in Buruburu here with the parents. With the time, this young man gangs up with a peer group there who are using heroin, the brown sugar and all that. Yeah? Now, he will quietly travel up country to his grandmother's place, carrying his paraphernalia, the drugs and whatever, and cigarettes. Take them there. Okay. Out there, he'll meet his cousins who are age mates, who have never seen this stuff. And then they'll start chasing the dragon together. The other day, in my small private practice in Digio, I was approached by a young man who was complaining of his cousin's behavior of, hitting, using a candle plus a spoon, and then you use it, you hit hitting the powder form under the candle. Spoon. Yes, under the candle. Yeah, that's it. And then the guy sniffs around like that, and then he collapses, and that's it. So the guy was like, I don't know what my cousin is doing, but I don't think I like it. It is very easy for heroin to move to the rural area because of the people who are in urban centers are already sick, affected, addicts, and they have relatives in the rural, and they travel there and they introduce the new behavior. Please walk around in these rural areas. Okay. You'll find the same hairstyles that you see in Nairobi town, same hairstyles that you see in upcountry. People, I don't know. And of course, don't forget the smartphones. Okay. People trade, I mean, the fashions, we are now a global village, meaning we are now like one big rural, I mean, town area. Whether rural or whatever, difference is the same. Yes.
Dr. Thuku, while we wind up, do you have anything maybe to add on that?
Yes. My parting shot, especially to the vulnerable group of which I'm really interested in, and I've actually started rural counseling center, free, especially for young men, and not forgetting the ladies too, if they come around. Ask yourself, before you take that drug, before you take that addicting substance that you are attempting to try it out with your peer group, will my mother approve it? Will my father approve this stuff that I want to do to take? It is my humble request. Talk around with your mentor. And it is the high time that we as parents introduce our children to mentors who have good character. Otherwise, we will lose them, especially when they are teenagers, and that is the age that they are little vulnerable. They are like milk that has been milked from the cow. Any bacteria, whatever, will grow on them. So let's make sure that our children are well mentored, and let no one, quoting Mahatma Gandhi, walk on their brains with dirty feet. Avoid drugs. Don't be controlled by drugs.
Dr. Thuku, thank you so much for joining in the conversation. I hope it has been a very insightful one. I hope you have gained one or two benefits from the show. In case of any inquiry or question or feedback, please please reach us on our social media platforms. Till we meet next time, on behalf of my guest, Dr. Thuku, thank you so much, and my very able producer, Muhammad Shakombo. I've been your host, Mariam Salim. Till next week, bye-bye.